Hello everyone, I'm Andreij and I played a concert inside a cave. I created a site-specific composition for this incredible location, and I want to tell you how the idea was born and how it all came together. When I received the proposal, it sounded a brilliant idea. I had never played in a space like this before. The Breda cave is located within the Caglieron Caves Natural Park, an area featuring waterfalls, both natural and man-made caves, and a stream that has carved through the rock over millennia. But there were also many challenges. I visited the site to scout the location and analyze its unique acoustics. Intense reverberation, flat rock surfaces everywhere, massive carved pillars slicing through the cavern space, and the constantly flowing water that forms an internal pool. Acoustically, it is a beautiful yet challenging place. I realized I needed to engage in a deep dialogue with the acoustic environment and make it an integral part of my concert. If I didn't, the space would have simply swallowed up everything I played. So I decided to create a unique composition specifically for this event. I drew inspiration from the sound of the water, which is very loud inside the cave, as well as the reverberation and the sounds of the park itself. Birdsong, human voices and footsteps on the ground. I wanted to create a dialogue between all these elements and my own work. I therefore decided to collect some field recordings from the park and combine them with others from my personal archive, accumulated over the years. I said to myself, let's make the cave resonate with its own sounds, but also with sounds its walls have never heard. I composed a 1-hour-long piece of musique concrete made of field recordings. I created different scenes, like in a sound theater show, to evoke images through real and imaginary soundscapes. The sounds of pickaxes hitting rock, voices, work chants and traditional Italian folk songs, protest marches, heavy machinery in motion and natural sounds. Some moments were designed to interact in harmony with the cave and the park, others to create a strong contrast with the soundscape impossible for that space. Sounds from the past mixed with the present and the future. Excavation work in a cave or a mine somewhere in the world. Liquid and aquatic sounds. Protest marches of tens of thousands chanting the same song within rock walls that could have never accommodated them. And I wasn't alone. I was joined by Federico Tich, a former colleague of mine in Trou Electronique, on the Crumar Synthaphone, a rare Italian synthesizer from the 1980s, a delay and a spring reverb. Together with my setup based on an input mixer and filters, we engaged in a dialogue with the composition of field recordings and the enveloping reverb of the cave. I made many mistakes in this project, and I want to talk about them. While it is easy to showcase what went right, it is only fair, especially in this kind of experimental music, to shed light on what didn't work. The first and most significant mistake was failing to properly welcome the audience. But what do I mean by welcome? I have always been reluctant to explain a creative work before it happens. I prefer for it to be lived and experienced firsthand, even from a distance or with a certain degree of skepticism. However, I realized that to make the experience truly immersive for those present, I should have introduced the concert, either through a printed program handed to everyone, or with a spoken introduction before starting. Since we are not accustomed to it, I should have invited the audience to engage in a different kind of listening, an extraordinary experience, listening to the cave's natural sounds, the field recordings and the music itself, eyes open or closed, sitting or standing, walking around to hear how the sound shifts across the space and how our own bodies become part of it, absorbing and reflecting the sound. I should have asked them not to focus on us, musicians, positioned on a raised strip of earth which acted like a stage, but simply to listen. I should have invited them to view the concert not as a frontal experience reliant on sight, but as one based purely on listening. Our positioning could have been more consistent with this concept. We could have avoided placing ourselves on that natural stage. We could have played from a corner, somewhere neither central nor elevated, yet still visible. While Paolo Pandin's stunning photos provide a beautiful record of the visual space, for the site-specific experience, the here and now is what interests me most in this kind of work. It would have been more effective not to have us musicians so prominently displayed. It might have been better to break away from the standard concert layout. Audience seated below, musicians elevated on a stage. That structure is authoritarian, implying the audience is merely a passive recipient of what is presented, and egocentric, placing the artist on a pedestal. The focus shifts away from the sound itself, which is actually the center and the single most essential element of this type of immersive experience. On another level, the audience is not trained to listen to field recordings and musique concrète and natural sounds. They are not considered music. Our everyday life listening experience is most of the time narrowed to what we consider music, and natural sounds and field recordings are out of the spectrum. They tend to be background noise, something that we are not able to focus on. But they were the core of this concert. There were long sections, even 10 minutes long, of only field recordings, but they were not perceived as part of the concert. For this reason, I should have introduced the audience to this type of listening beforehand. Unfortunately, these are all things I only considered after the concert. However, I will certainly take them into greater account for my future site-specific sound project. I'm glad to have learned through this experience and these mistakes just how unaccustomed we are to simply listening, without the need to look at something or someone or have a stage to direct our attention toward. Sound is all around us. We are sound, and we become part of the soundscape through our bodies and our presence. Sound is everything, and we should train ourselves to use our hearing, that vital sense, to delve into it and explore it, as one would with a cavern.